Look at platforms like Smart Farm. Look at platforms
What I mean
like...
is, if agriculture contributes 30% to our GDP, there should be a significant number of people, and in particular young people, involved in that sector. Sure. My point is that we don't have as many as should be there because of the perception of what agriculture is perceived to be. So in closing, I would like you guys to speak to the young people who, like I said, some voted, some didn't vote, some did not vote for the current administration, and they're probably looking forward to hearing or seeing or even being let down, because that's one of the things we realize, that some young people just feel, okay, our role is just to vote. But then what happens after that? So please, I would like you to turn to that camera, the two of you in that camera, and just speak to the young people, like give them hope and reason why they should still believe that something is going to change.
Okay, thank you, Stella, for hosting us. I appreciate a lot. This is a fantastic project. I call upon every Kenyan and young people to focus on what Ziduka is doing, because it is a progressive project that aims at developing our country, giving young people a platform to air their views and also accessing to information across all sectors, private and public. So I appreciate you, Stella, and keep it up. We are going to support you.
So you're saying the government is going to support us?
Whether it is, I wanted to say at individual capacity or also at public.
We welcome any form of support.
Yes, so continue. I like when young people are creating spaces. I like what JP talked about. He got tired of looking for opportunity. He's now an employer. That is fantastic. It is actually what the government is trying to do also, or giving young people that opportunity to create employment. But for purposes of final say, is that young people, we are largely the largest component of Kenyan population. That means that we have the largest stake in the conduct of every affair, whether private or public, of our country. That means that we should not take the peripheral role in conduct of public and private affairs of our country. We should always be on the trenches. We should always be on those boardrooms making decisions. Make a deliberate, intentional move to be part of these decision-making processes. At local level, at village barazas, at the county assemblies, at public participation forums, at bunges, that is the National Assembly and County Assembly, attend those particular public forums so that you can influence decisions at that particular level. The best way to hold the government accountable is by you attending and taking participation in those particular discussions, because they go a long way in influencing the policies and laws that are made for our country. Good people, the young people of our nation. We are in a very tricky situation economic-wise. That means that we must pull our socks, we must roll our sleeves. That means that every decision that is made by government or made by state officers at whichever level is going to influence our lives. We are the beneficiaries of what was done in 1963. Our children are going to be beneficiaries of what we are going to do today. And that means that we must take an active role of conduct of public affairs. Thank you very much.
Briefly?
So the youth, we've always said the youth are the leaders of tomorrow. The youth, we are leaders of today. I want to urge the Kenyan youth at large to just be intentional. Be intentional about being available for whatever role, for whatever projects, for whatever initiatives that may be brought your way. There's something I like saying: opportunity always meets preparedness. These opportunities are going to come. These opportunities, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto is very dedicated and passionate about making sure that the youth will thrive. Be ready, be prepared, be set. When they come knocking, be there and be receptive. That is my urge to the youth.
JP?
I want to encourage the government to just deliver as per its mandate. I think I'll be very uncomfortable if the president will sit down pretty, because there's a huge chunk of voters who didn't vote. And to me, that is so disturbing, because if maybe the next elections, now we have another chunk that will say, I'm not going to vote, I think it's going to be very unfortunate for the current state. So for the youth, just demand what is rightfully yours. You are the ones who brought this hustler government. If it fails, we both fail. So I encourage all of us to just be our brother's keeper. When we talk about mental health, is something that is really need. Maybe next time we need to talk about it. But I urge everyone to be accountable, not only the government, but to be accountable for our actions. And moving forward, we hope in the next 10 months, the way the president said, I think maybe we'll start seeing something positive in the country. Thank you.
Allow me to start by mentioning or referring to something that Maina said. He referred to Moses being a leader who was given the mandate to lead the people of Israel from Egypt to the promised land. And that's a scripture that has been used very many times in this country by politicians. But today, I would like us to shift our focus from Moses to Joshua. Joshua was a young man, if you know about him. There's a whole book dedicated to his leadership. And before he got into the specific leadership position of getting the Israelites finally into the promised land, he was dwelling in the same tent as Moses. He was being mentored. He was following in Moses' footsteps. He was watching, he was learning. He was active as a participant in the whole process between Moses and God and also the people. He was present. And this is our message today on Zinduka. You cannot afford to claim that you want, as a young person, to get into the promised land if you sit and wait for Moses, because the honest truth is Moses might not get to the promised land, which means that there should be a Joshua in preparation to take the mantle from him and get the people to the promised land. My prayer is that as Zinduka, we will give you all the tools that you need and the encouragement, the information that you need for you to be able to make that decision, for you to be able to play your role as a young person in getting the country to where we want to go together. Because whether we voted for this government or not, we are in it together, and it is in our interests for us to succeed. Asante sana, Maina, Wala, and JP for participating today. And for all the young people out there, if you've not read the Youth Charter, this is a summary of all the promises that government intends to implement over the next 5 years. It is in your interest to know them, because therein lies your tools to hold government accountable. But beyond that, therein lies the opportunities that will come up. We've heard about construction, agriculture, technology. There's so many things that are going to be coming up, but you will not be able to take advantage of those opportunities if you don't even know that they exist. So please do get a copy of the Youth Charter by this government. Thank you again for joining me today. God bless you, and see you next time on Zinduka.